1. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a 2018 action role-playing video game developed by Ubisoft Quebec and published by Ubisoft. It is the 11th major installment, and 20th overall, in the Assassin's Creed series and the successor to 2017's Assassin's Creed Origins. Set in the year 431 BCE, the plot tells a fictional history of the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. Players control a male or female mercenary who fights for both sides as they attempt to unite their family and uncover a malign cult. The game was released worldwide for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and, in Japan only, for Nintendo Switch on October 5, 2018. It was praised for its open world, visuals, combat, story, and characters, while receiving criticism for some reliance on grinding, microtransactions, and for feeling bloated. Assassin's Creed Odyssey places more emphasis on role-playing elements than previous games in the series. The game contains dialogue options, branching quests, and multiple endings. The player is able to choose the gender of the main character, adopting the role of Alexos or Cassandra. The player can also develop romantic relationships with non-playable characters of both genders, regardless of which one they choose. The game features a notoriety system in which mercenaries chase after the player if they commit crimes like killing or stealing. The player character, Alexos, or Cassandra, is a mercenary, and a descendant of the Spartan king Leonidas I. They inherit his broken spear, which is forged into a blade to become a weapon that grants the player special abilities in combat. The game uses a skill tree system that allows the player to unlock new abilities. The 3 skill trees are Hunter, which improves player characters' archery, Warrior, which puts emphasis on combat, and Assassin, which focuses on stealth. This replaces the system used in Origins, which granted the player a series of passive abilities. The hitbox combat system introduced in Origins returns and is expanded upon to grant the player access to 4 different special skills when the ability bar fills up. These skills include calling a rain of arrows and a powerful kick to knock opponents off balance, and are similar to the overpower mechanic introduced in Origins that let the player use a powerful finishing move in combat. The game also features a gear system in which each piece of armor the player wears has different statistics and provides a range of advantages. These can be equipped and upgraded individually. Assassin's Creed Odyssey also features naval combat again, with the player having access to Hellenistic-era warships to explore the Aegean Sea. The conflict between Athens and Sparta is represented through a war system which enables players to take contracts from mercenaries and participate in different large-scale battles against hostile factions. The war system can change a faction's influence over a region. 2. Celeste, Matt Makes Games. Celeste is a platforming video game by Canadian video game developers Matt Thorson and Noel Berry. The game was originally created as a prototype in 4 days during a game jam, and later expanded into a full release. Celeste was released in January 2018 on Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Mac OS, and Linux. God of War 2018, also known as God of War 4, is sequel to God of War 3 as well as a continuation of the canon God of War chronology. God of War is the 8th installment in the franchise overall. Unlike previous installments, this game focuses on Norse mythology and will follow an older and more seasoned Kratos and his new son Atreus in the years since God of War 3. The game released on April 20, 2018, and is an exclusive PlayStation 4 launch. Marvel's Spider-Man, also known as Spider-Man PS4, is an action-adventure game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for the PlayStation 4, based on the Marvel Comics superhero Spider-Man released worldwide on September 7, 2018. It was the first licensed game developed by Insomniac. The game tells an original story about Spider-Man that is not tied to any other existing piece of media, and covers both the Peter Parker and Spider-Man aspects of the character. Critics called Spider-Man one of the best superhero games ever made, praising its gameplay, particularly the combat and web-swinging mechanics, graphics, narrative, characterization, and design of New York City, though felt it lacked innovation in its open-world design. The game became a commercial success, selling 3.3 million copies in its first 3 days of release. It broke several sales records, including becoming the fastest-selling video game in Sony Interactive Entertainment's history, the fastest-selling superhero game in US history, and one of the best-selling PlayStation 4 games. Monster Hunter World is an action role-playing game developed and published by Capcom. A part of the Monster Hunter series, it was released worldwide for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in January 2018, with the Microsoft Windows version in August 2018. In the game, the player takes the role of a hunter, tasked to hunt down and either kill or trap monsters that roam in one of several environmental spaces. If successful, the player is rewarded through loot consisting of parts from the monster and other elements that are used to craft weapons and armor, amongst other equipment. The game's core loop has the player crafting appropriate gear to be able to hunt down more difficult monsters, which in turn provide parts that lead to more powerful gear. Players may hunt alone, or can hunt in cooperative groups of up to 4 players via the game's online services. Announced at E3 2017, Monster Hunter World adopts the series' standard formulas from its older home console roots and recent handheld games to take advantage of the higher processing power provided by modern consoles and computers. changes made in Monster Hunter World include creating environmental spaces that are fully connected and removing the zones that were necessary for the PlayStation 2 and handheld games, more advanced monster artificial intelligence and physics to create seemingly living ecosystems that could be taken advantage of during hunts, a more persistent cooperative multiplayer experience, and a refinement of the game's user interface, menu systems, and tutorials to help with bringing new players into the series. These changes led Capcom to plan for the game's simultaneous release across both Japan and Western markets, since Monster Hunter as a series has generally languished in the West compared to Japan, partially due to disparate release schedules. Capcom also opted to support online play between these different geographic regions for similar reasons. The delay for the Windows release was attributed to Capcom seeking to make sure its first foray into the Windows market was optimized for players on computers. Monster Hunter World received critical acclaim upon release, with critics praising how Capcom was able to make the game more accessible to new players and to Western markets, without detracting from the series' core gameplay elements and enjoyable difficulty, and fully taking advantage of the computational capacity of modern consoles to create living ecosystems, and some even calling it the best in the franchise. Within a few weeks of release, the game became the fastest-selling game in Capcom's history. It eventually became their best-selling game, with 10.9 million copies shipped by September 2018. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western-themed action-adventure game developed and published by Rockstar Games. It was released on October 26, 2018, for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles. The third entry in the Red Dead series, it is a prequel to the 2010 game Red Dead Redemption. Set in 1899 in a fictionalized version of the western United States, the story centers on outlaw Arthur Morgan, a member of the Van der Linde gang dealing with the decline of the Wild West whilst attempting to survive against government forces, rival gangs, and other opponents. The story also follows fellow gang member John Marston, protagonist from the first Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption 2 is presented through both first and third-person perspectives, and the player may freely roam in its interactive open world. Gameplay elements include shootouts, heists, hunting, horseback riding, interacting with any non-player character, NPC, and maintaining the character's honor rating through moral choices and deeds. A bounty system similar to the Wanted system from the Grand Theft Auto franchise governs the response of law enforcement and bounty hunters to crimes committed by the player. Red Dead Online, the online multiplayer mode of the game, was released as a beta version in November 2018. Broadly anticipated and marketed before release, Red Dead Redemption 2 broke several records and had the second biggest launch in history of entertainment, generating $725 million in sales from its opening weekend and shipping over 17 million copies in 2 weeks. It was universally acclaimed by critics, who praised the story, characters, open world, and considerable level of detail. Red Dead Redemption 2 received a number of perfect scores and awards, including the Critics' Choice Award at the 2018 Golden Joystick Awards, and honors such as Best Narrative and Best Score/Music at the Game Awards 2018.